Good evening, welcome back to Ghost Stories with Joanna, the podcast where we delve into the creepy stories of Reddit. And sometimes we delve into historical and haunted places. But this week we're going to be looking at r/slash ghost stories again because it's been a bit of a chaotic few weeks for me, and I won't go into it because that's not what this is about. This is not my venting channel. I don't even have one of those currently. Should I make that? I have a second channel I don't use. Anyway, this isn't going to be 10 minutes of me just talking crap to you guys. We're going to delve straight into the stories. So grab yourself a beverage, maybe a snack, get under a blanket. This is a Halloween blanket, but it's pink and fluffy with little ghosts for those who are only listening to this either on YouTube or Spotify. It's very soft. It is pink with little white ghosts on, and they're so cute. Yes, it's Halloween, but so what? I also have a Halloween teddies around me, and do I have any Halloween decorations up? Yes, yearly, all year round. So Halloween is not just one night a year for me, clearly. Anyway, shall we delve into the stories? I didn't think this through because I'm like, oh, let's hold this. But how am I supposed to do everything one-handed? I do have another microphone, but I could really do like, I don't know, a stand, like just to put like here or like clip somewhere. I don't know. It don't matter, does it? Okie dokie. So all of this evening's stories are going to be from the subreddit r/slash ghost stories. And the very first one is my entire family witnessed a ghost. Quick disclaimer for all who are new that I do say in every one of these episodes is that all these stories could be complete works of fiction. I understand that. We get that, right? But for the purpose of entertainment, I just like to think that all of these stories are true. It's scarier and more fun that way, don't you think? So, just a quick disclaimer. Is that it that I need to say? Is that all I need to say on that matter? Yeah, maybe I'll just start putting that on the screen. I don't know. But anyway, let's get into this story. My entire family witnessed a ghost. When I was in 5th grade, I was sitting in the living room with my older sister, my mum, and my stepdad. We had just moved into the house and it had new carpet. We were all watching TV when someone said, "Look," and pointed at the carpet, and all of us witnessed footprints walk across the room until they got to the TV. When the footprints got to the TV, it shut off. I remember we all yelled out and for some reason lifted our feet off the ground. I feel like, is that just like instinctual? I feel like that's kind of like, oh my god, there's something like on the floor, quickly. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'll carry on. My mum immediately called the landlord, who informed us the previous tenant had taken their own life in that house. Throughout our stay there, the ghost would turn off lights and mess with electronic devices. We stopped getting in trouble for leaving lights on because my parents honestly didn't know if it was us or the ghost. That's convenient, I guess. How many people have had their parents tell them off for leaving all the lights on around their house, even though they too do it, and then blame the kids for it? One night, I had an older friend over and was telling him about the ghost, but he rolled his eyes and started making fun of me. until I asked my mum in front of him if it was true. He was shocked when she shook her head yes, as if he knew I wasn't kidding around. Later, my mum left to go out and we paused the movie we were watching on the VCR. As I was showing him something in the back bedroom and talking about things the ghost would do, all of a sudden the movie began playing with the volume cranked up to the max. I know VCRs will eventually start playing sometimes when left on pause, but trust me, it was the ghost. My friend's knees buckled and he sort of fell into the doorframe where he caught himself from falling. He bolted out of my house, leaving the front door open, and he sprinted full speed the entire way to his house. It was raining outside. Later, I walked to his house because we were supposed to spend the night and play video games we had rented. Oh, this is like this is definitely a 90s child. Oh my god, you rented the video games from Blockbuster probably and got the VCR. Anyway, he would not open the door more than a crack and told me my grandma said nobody can stay the night and closed the door on me. I know that ghosts are real. The question is why and what does it mean? I'm searching for answers, so I sought out this thread. I wish it would have just been me that witnessed this so I could justify or reason it being something else. I can't do that because my entire family witnessed a ghost. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. Imagine just seeing like footprints like on the floor though, moving towards the TV and then the TV just turning off, seemingly by itself. Oh my god, I'd scream. Oh my god, I'd be terrified. And then like the lights being turned off and on and everything. At least the spirit was just kind of, you know, there. It was just a presence. So that's good because half the time you read these stories, it's like it was evil, it was an evil ghost, it was a demon. It's like, oh my god. But at least this time it was just, a regular old ghost. Will you stop falling off? So annoying. Do you know what else is really annoying? My microphone dying. I recorded a video yesterday and forgot to charge it, but I think I just need a new one. So now I have to kind of like try and project a bit. What would be good is a microphone that could like plug into my phone. That might be a good shout. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next story. Let me know what your thoughts are on all the stories that we go through tonight. Do you believe any of them? Are you skeptical about them? What are your thoughts? I love to hear your thoughts, so let me know whilst we read the next one. Airbnb, so haunted we had to leave early. Okay. This is all a true story. We'll be we'll we will be the judge of that. This is all a true story. And out of my entire life of experiencing the paranormal, this story takes the cake. A little background, because it's pretty necessary for my story. This sounds corny, but I've always had a weird sense when it comes to the paranormal. Not like I can talk to ghosts or summon demons, but I do get this super weird feeling in my gut when something like this happens. Also, my mum is a skeptic and has never fully believed in ghosts. Anyways, mid 2022, me, my mum, my aunt, and my cousin planned a trip down to Florida for about 5 days. We got a pretty small Airbnb for us to stay in and were pretty excited for Disney World. The house was like this. Walk in and straight ahead of you is a kitchen. To your right is a small dining room and a small hallway to the bathroom. My room and my mum's room. To the left was the living room and my cousin's and aunt's room. My cousin and aunt had a volleyball tournament to go to on the 4th day, so they wouldn't be in the B&B for the 5th day. Okie dokie. The first day, nothing crazy happened. No odd feelings, nothing. It was on the second day, the first odd occurrence happened. At about 11 p.m., I thought I was the last one in the house awake as everyone else was tired from the long day we had. Just as I was going to sleep, I started to hear someone pressing the buttons of the microwave. I figured my cousin was warming up her leftovers from dinner, so I shook it off. However, the microwave wasn't turning on. Only the buttons were being pressed. I thought I was just imagining things, and I went to bed. The morning of the third day, and as we were driving to one of the Disney parks, I asked who was screwing with the microwave the night before. It turns out nobody was out of their rooms the entire night. However, my cousin heard the same thing and was annoyed as the constant beeping woke her up. We pointed out the creepiness and went on with our day. So after the day was over, we got home. It got late and I was the last one awake. By about 10 p.m., I started to hear faint knocking on the wall behind my bed. I figured it was neighbours, so I ended up not thinking much of it. That was until I turned the light off to go to sleep. As I was laying there, I saw a white orb come out slowly, floating from the corner of the doorway and make its way to the middle of the room, just to dart back where it came from. I nearly peed my pants and decided it was sleep with the lights on time. I've done that plenty of times, to be honest. After I turned on the lights, the knocking started back up, but this time it was clearly coming from the wall connected to the bathroom, which debunked my neighbour theory. The knocking continued from the wall behind me and the bathroom wall. I was also hearing the microwave buttons being pressed again. Once it started to slightly calm down, I was finally able to go to bed. It was about 2 a.m. at this point, so this went on constantly for about 4 hours. God, I would just be annoyed at that point. I wouldn't be scared. I would just be annoyed. I am the type of person to just be kind of like, hey, ghost, shut up. Just stop. The next day was the 4th day of our trip. I decided to tell everyone what happened and what I saw, but was brushed off by everyone, including my mum. I mean, if they're skeptics, then yeah. So I decided to just stay quiet about it the rest of the day. By the time night came around, my cousin and aunt had left the Airbnb. Did my mum start to believe me? As it was getting later in the night, probably around 8 p.m., I heard the faint sound of knocking coming from behind my bed, and I decided to go sit in my mum's room with her. But the knocking continued from the bathroom, loud enough for me and my mum to hear. Eventually, the knocking seemed to be coming from every room in the house, yet very faintly. And may I add, I was getting the worst gut feeling I've ever experienced. Oh no. This really started to spook me and my mum. The breaking point was when a bottle that was in the vacant room was thrown loud enough for me and my mum to hear it across the house, roughly 30 feet away. By this point, the knocking was coming from every room in the house at the same time, very loudly. It felt like something out of an Exorcist movie, so we decided to pack up and get a hotel for the night. As I was bringing my duffel bag out to the living room, there was a loud, obvious footsteps stomping behind me. Oh my god. It sounded like someone was walking right on my heels. However, the trippiest part about this whole experience was when I picked up my duffel bag and exclaimed, "Okay, we are leaving." Dead silence. The knocking stopped. The horrible feeling of dread went away and we left and got a hotel. Oh my god. That's scary. That's scary. I don't like it when you go to like hotels and stuff and you're like, this place has a creepy feeling and I think this place is haunted, or it's just me being stupid about it. Someone in the comments did state an interesting thing. So rule number 1 of staying at any new place is to say politely, like, we will be here for a few days, please don't mind us. In our tradition, we have house spirits that look over the house and get curious when new faces arrive, as it disturbs their routine. Hence, everything stopped when you said you were leaving. Interesting. I mean, that is interesting. So yeah, if you're going to go into a new place, just be like, hello to the house, to the building, to anything that's here. We are just visitors. We'll be here for a few days. I hope you don't mind. We will try not to like trouble you. Considering the fact that I do like say good morning to my house, that would make sense, actually. Yeah. I mean, with this one, I think like maybe it was that kind of thing where these people came into the spirit's place and the spirit wasn't receptive towards them. Or, you know, like I said though, if that was me for like, so at the beginning where they're like, oh, they can just hear like the microwave or like the tapping on the walls, I would just be kind of like, shh, hey, I'm just trying to go to sleep, can you not? Please. But then is that rude? So maybe the commenter is right. If you go into a new space, just kind of like be, hello to this house or whatever you are. I don't know. Maybe it's worth a shot. So then you don't get haunted, I guess. Ugh. Sorry, I just read the title of one and I'm just like, oh god. No, should we read it? I'm gonna read it because like it's a long one again. I'm gonna read it because it sounds really creepy and I can imagine it being really creepy. Okay, I'm doing this at night once again because at night it's just the easiest time for me to do this and quietest, and but then I'm like, oh god, I'm scaring myself. I can't, honestly, sometimes when I've done these and then I'm like, okay, now I need to like, you know, wind down, and when I'm in bed, I'm like, I can't turn my lamp off. Sometimes I've got to sleep with a light on, not like the big light, but like my lamp, just because like I creep myself out, and I'm also scared of ghosts, like genuinely, like you know, I'm doing this, but I genuinely am a bit afraid of ghosts, you know. So yeah. Anyway, I really shouldn't sit like that though. I need like a rest. Okay. Creepy things that happened when I lived in hospital accommodation as a nursing student. The joys. Let's go, shall we? When I was a nursing student, I lived in accommodation specifically for nursing and midwifery students. The building was actually on the hospital grounds, not far from the morgue. They would put nurses in a horrible place. That, oh my god. From the moment I moved in, the place just had a really strange vibe. At first, I told myself it was just because it was the first time I'd moved away from home. But over time, things started happening that I still can't really explain. Pretty quickly, I started having really intense nightmares. And this constant feeling like I was being watched whenever I was in my room. Small, weird things would happen all the time. I'd put something down in my bed, leave the room, and when I came back, it would be somewhere else. I was certain I hadn't moved it. That would drive me nuts. But then I would also be like, I probably put it in the other space because I have ADHD. And I can literally just put like, I could put this here, do that, and put it under the blanket in 5 minutes. I'll forget it's there. Not even 5 minutes, I'll start reading and I'll forget that I've done that. Just saying. So, yeah. But, if you're not like me and have object permanence, then it's a bit weird. I also kept having this strange sense that something bad was about to happen. One time I had that feeling really strongly, and then a door suddenly slammed and caught my fingers. Things like that started happening more and more. Ow, the hell? At one point, I had a pet hamster that I'd rescued from another student who wasn't looking after it properly. If you can't look after an animal, like a hamster, that doesn't really need a lot of taking care of. I mean, obviously you've got to take care of it, but if you can't do that, I feel like you shouldn't be a nurse. Anyway, completely not important, but just saying, you know, the hamster was a bit erratic. Fair enough. And would run up against the side of the tank a lot. Probably because it just wants to get out. Hamsters do that. They like, they're not very sociable, but they are. You know what I mean? If you put two hamsters together, they will probably kill each other. But they probably, if it's a pet, they might just want, you know, freedom or just pets. They might just want pets. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking so much about the bloody ants. One night, I woke up and heard growling in my room. It was coming from the hamster's cage. I know that sounds ridiculous because hamsters don't growl, so I assumed it must have been some weird noise it was making, but it honestly sounded like actual growling. That is weird. Other times, I'd be home alone and hear someone clattering around in the kitchen as if someone was cooking or moving dishes. When I went to check, no one was there. The strangest thing that happened involved the oven. If I put food in the oven, sometimes the temperature would suddenly turn up to full blast. I knew I hadn't touched it. At one point, I mentioned it to two girls I lived with who I didn't really get along with, and they told me they'd been having the same problem and assumed I was doing it. Wow, okay. But this has happened when they were out and I was home alone, so it wasn't them. Why would they assume? Some just mean girls sometimes. Anyway, I'm just going off on tangents about the things in Opie's life. The hamster, the mean girls who clearly are just weird. But whatever. I don't know. Off of one thing. Okay, never mind. Carrying on. The nightmares kept getting worse. Whenever I went home for holidays and then came back to the flat, the minute I walked through the door, I'd get this horrible feeling of anxiety, like something wasn't right. During a placement in ICU, I mentioned some of this to my mentor. She was a middle aged nurse who seemed very normal and not the type to make up weird stories. When I told her where I lived, she immediately knew the building. She said she had actually lived there herself years before when staff were allowed to stay there. Oh no. She told me she once put in a complaint because she kept hearing someone running around in the flat above her late at night. When she reported it, the office told her nobody lived there. Another time, she had a friend visiting. They were standing in the kitchen and both saw a woman dressed in white out of the corner of their eye. When they turned to look properly, she was gone. She said it looked like a woman wearing something like a white nightgown. The scariest experience I had happened not long before I moved out. I was trying to sleep and eventually drifted off. I suddenly had this dream where an old woman in a hospital gown was standing over me. She looked almost demonic and was laughing in a really horrible way. In the dream, she said she was going to take something from me. I woke up immediately after that and couldn't move. I had full sleep paralysis and that same feeling of dread, like something was still there. Ugh, God. After that, I slept with the light on every night. I was supposed to leave the accommodation earlier, but I had failed one unit and had to stay an extra few months. The whole time I was there, I had this horrible feeling that I'd never leave, like something in that place didn't want me to go. I would often talk about it with other students who confirmed they also felt the negative energy there. Oh my god, imagine that. Like, that's so annoying as well, though, because obviously you're there doing like your degree or your nursing course or nursing degree, and you're literally just wanting to help people. And firstly, they put the accommodation next to a morgue. Like, why? And secondly, then you have to go through all of that. Oh my god. I wouldn't have. I would have just moved. But it's not that easy, is it? Like, especially if it's in like student accommodation, it's not that easy to just move to another flat. Man, that's yeah, yeah. Oh my god, but imagine just kind of like every day you just come back into your home where you should feel safe and happy and kind of like your sanctuary, but it's not. You just have this constant feeling of dread. Ugh, it's horrible. Nursing students and just nurses go through enough as it is. They don't need to be haunted as well. This is probably going to be the last one for this episode, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, what? Anyway, last one for this episode. Okay, I'm happy that I've been able to find like quite longish ones for this. So yay, we like long, detailed stories here. But this is going to be the final installment for this episode. I don't know what I'm talking about. And again, interesting title. Very interesting title, this one. My 16th century ancestor is haunting me, and I have the receipts to prove it's not just a dream. What does that even mean? But okay, let's dig in, shall we? Hi Reddit. I'm posting this here because I honestly don't know who else to talk to without sounding like a total lunatic. I'm currently spiraling a bit and need to get this off my chest. To give you some context, my family is part of the old Sicilian nobility. Ooh, wow. We're talking ancestors who served kings and popes. Kind of old. That's very cool. Lately, I've been deep diving into my family history, specifically focusing on one ancestor from the 1500s. This guy was the definition of a Renaissance villain. He had ties to the most powerful and ruthless families of the 16th century. The bourgeois, is that how you pronounce that? The bourgeois, I think. Pope Alexander the Sixth, Caesar. You know what? Okay, fair enough. I can't pronounce it. He wasn't exactly a good guy. The records show he was incredibly violent. Inquisition stakes, executions. He allegedly drowned children in water barrels. Brutal family vendettas, and forcing women into cloisters. What are cloisters? I don't even want to know, actually. But I feel like I'm gonna have to. Do I want to know? I don't think I want to know. I don't want to know. I probably know when posting this, and you might also know now that I'm sorry if it's something horrible. I feel like it's probably something horrible. Anyway, he held the title of Baron back then. Of course he did. Which later became a princely title for his successors in the 1600s. We know almost everything about his life, except for one thing: his death. Interesting. The chronicles just stopped. He died at 65, but nobody knows how. All we know is that he was buried in a magnificent black marble sarcophagus beneath a basilica in Sicily. What a black marble sarcophagus. Who was this guy? What the hell? Fast forward to World War II, the Americans bombed the island. The basilica was leveled and his tomb was lost under the rubble. Gone. And that's kind of sad that destroying history is just. War is so meaningless and so stupid. Just saying. It's pointless. Anyway, let's not. Joe, let's not have a rant about war right now. Okay? Okay, now, here is where it gets weird. I currently live in a family villa located right on the land that used to be his fief. About 3 weeks ago, I was sleeping with my bedroom door locked. I woke up in the middle of the night in what I assumed was sleep paralysis. I couldn't move, but I could see everything clearly. I watched my locked door swing open. Oh my god. A figure walked in. He was tall, maybe 5'7". Sorry, that's funny because I'm 5'7". That's not tall. But I'm thinking of like, I'm pretty sure, don't hurt me, but a lot of Italian people are probably on average shorter than British people. I think that is, I used to know someone who was Italian and I think they are, but still. 5'7" is not tall. I'm 5'7". Sorry. Let's move on. Or 170 centimeters. You know, dressed in full 16th century noble attire with a sword at his belt. His leather gloves were soaked in blood. His face was deathly pale, like a literal corpse, and his eyes had no pupils, just empty white sockets. Oh my god. He gripped the bedpost, stood up on the end of my bed, and just stared down at me. I was paralyzed with fear. Then he started speaking in an old Sicilian dialect. I'll translate it here. You know everything about me. I am your lineage. I am still here under the rubble. Oh, you blood of my blood who listens to my stories, I beg you, find me. I am waiting for you. Oh my Jesus. I closed my eyes and when I opened them, he was gone. I could move again. I've barely slept since, but this has happened every single night for 22 days straight. Two things have absolutely broken my skepticism. The portrait. I had never seen a painting of him because they are rare. A museum recently sent me a scan of an uncatalogued portrait of this baron. And guys, it was him. It was the exact man from my room. There is no way I could have known what he looked like. The date, I just found out he died on March 2nd. My birthday is March 2nd. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is this just some weird psychological obsession because of my research, or is he actually demanding I dig him up? How do I close the circle? Has anyone ever dealt with ancestral hauntings like this? What am I supposed to do? Sorry. someone, someone, someone quoted he was tall, maybe 5'7", and someone else was like, I'm tall now. It's funny. I would literally be trying to find where he's buried. Like, the thing, yeah, it might have been destroyed, but it might not be completely destroyed. Like, his resting place might not be completely destroyed. So I would try to find it if possible. Like, I would see if there's been any like excavations around that place where it was unfortunately bombed, because you never know. Also, that's just cool history, isn't it? Like, it'd be cool to be able to find something from that time period. And also, if you do find it, he might just leave you alone and, you know, rest. Or if it's psychological, you you might have seen a picture and just not realized. But if it's psychological, you might be thinking, your brain might just be like, I need to find more about this guy. I need to find all this information. But I'm just going to play devil's advocate and say that OP is being haunted. And I would continue to dig and then physically dig. Because I would literally just be like, leave me alone. Again, as well, though, I'm the kind of person who would just be like, right, I'm going to do some weird like meditation or something, and I'm going to talk to this guy, and I'm just going to be like, look, leave me alone. Go away. How much, like, just go away and leave me alone. I would probably piss off spirits. I would. Yeah. Especially if it was like my ancestor. I'd just be like, fuck off. And especially if they were like an evil person, like this person sounded like they were. But then again, if they're doing the whole sleep paralysis every night, I would be knackered. Anyway, what are your thoughts on these stories in this episode? Let me know what you thought. What was your favourite one out of all of these? Mine was probably the last one because it was just so weird and so like original. Like, even if it's not real and it's just a whole of baloney, it's a cool story. And I learned about a guy from Sicily who, was a bit evil, it sounds like. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you're still here, you are amazing, and I love you, so thank you. And with that, I will catch you in the next episode. And if you are watching this or listening to this in the evening before bed, sleep tight.